hello, everyone, and welcome to Jammin' Jukebox Radio Show. I'm your host, DJ Delta Dawn, and I am so glad to be here with you on this Hump Day Wednesday, and I hope that you've had a wonderful day. Your week is off to a great start, and you know what? You know what that means. It's downhill from here, folks. Friday is coming. The weekend's coming. This weekend, I'm celebrating my birthday. I can't wait. So looking forward to that, and the weather seems to be improving. So, hey, everything's looking up. But I have to tell you, tonight I am so stoked about our show because our guest, he plays an instrument. He just doesn't play. He shreds the heck out of it. And it's one of my favorite instruments in one of my favorite genres of music of all time. I've grown up a lover of music of all genres. But, man, it's unbelievable the music that this man makes. Let me give you a little bit of background on him before we bring him on the line. He is one of today's premier shred metal guitarists. Now, when I say premier shred metal guitarist, that's no exaggeration. I mean, he is the bomb, diggity. And he is based out of Pittsburgh, PA, and he currently fronts his own band, XDB, and national tribute act, James Rivera's Sabbath, Judas, Sabbath, as well as playing in Rivera's solo band. And he performs in excess of 100 times a year and is active in recording collaborations with artists from all over the world. And recently, he has been making quite the name for himself and his solo band by appearing as support for acts like Symphony X, Adrenaline Mob, Buckethead, UFO, Lizzie Borden, Kip Winger, Neil, Zaza, and Dio Disciples. He has had 2 #1 metal and progressive music videos on MySpace with his videos Right Angles and Chase the Sun. His last single, White Knuckle Driving, received airplay in, get this, Brazil, Russia, Denmark, the UK, and all over the world. And his video has received in excess of 120,000 YouTube views. I'm telling you, the guy's off the chain good. So without further ado, we are so pleased, proud, and honored to welcome Xander Demos. Hello.
Hey.
How
How you doing?
I'm good. Now, I have to ask you right out of the gate, did I pronounce your name correctly? Because I hate to shred people's names on air.
It's actually Demos.
Demos. Got it.
Demos.
Got it.
Yep. That's all right. I know it's said differently than it's spelled. I know it's weird.
Look, I didn't say demos, but hey, look, I'm so glad to have you with us. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time this evening. It's quite an honor to have you with us and to talk about talent. I have to tell you right out of the gate that I grew up an 80s hair band girl and loved all the bands from that era. And when I heard your music initially, I was like, wow. I felt like I'd been taken, kind of back on a little bit of a trip there into that era of time. You are just off the chain good, man. I mean, God.
Oh, thanks for the compliment. Thank you.
You make it look so easy, but when did you first decide this is what you wanted to do?
Well, I decided that actually like a long time ago. The problem is, it's hard to kind of get in a groove of things and really start taking things serious. And I think really what I started taking a little bit more serious was, I guess, at the dawn of social media, It's just easier to get in touch with people, easier to, just to network and communicate. And, like in the old days, I would have loved to have tried this, but I did the typical thing. I did college, I did all that kind of stuff, and, built a career for myself and everything like that. And I was like, you know what? I've been playing guitar longer than I've been doing anything else, I guess. So I wanted to give it a real try. That's how it happened.
Oh, my gosh. Well, for someone who just wanted to give it a little try, I dare say you have got immense talent and quite a following of fans who are out there just supporting you and what you do. And, this is my personal take on all of this. I think the reason why you are so popular is because people, I don't care if they're this generation like my kids are growing up in or a generation that I came from and grew up in the 80s, there is something so fascinating and magical about someone who can shred the hell out of a guitar. I mean, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but I don't care. It just transcends generations and decades of time, in my opinion. And I think people are always going to love that style of music, no matter where they are or what they're doing or what age they are. It is awesome.
I agree that type of music will kind of endure and have a very loyal following, and I think that's why I love it so much as well. I mean, I listen to all kinds of stuff, but I mean, I love the fact that hard rock and metal and everything, was really able, to gain, new audience as well as hang on to the old ones too. It's an honor. It's an honor to be part of that community.
Oh, gosh, I know. And it's such an elite group, too. It's not like other genres of music where it seems like it's endless with artists. But I don't know, that whole genre, the people are so immensely talented musician-wise. I mean, apart from the vocal aspect of things, just the fact that everything is so fast and it's hard hitting and it's just edgy and it's it's got so much of a different feel from any other genre of music out there, and I think it takes a special kind of musician and artist to create that for the listener.
I totally agree with you. Absolutely agree.
Well, you have, as I was saying in the intro, you have performed with some of the world's greatest artists and people from that genre who have made rock and heavy metal and, hair band rock what it is and has been. And talk a little bit about some of your experiences with that, because what a ride that must have been for you.
It has been really cool. And, I mean, it's really nice to me, especially, like, I got such a thrill last June. I was playing with James Rivera in Columbus. We were headlining the Warriors of Metal Open Air Fest, and it was one of those things where he just we had a set of music to do, and here I am. I'm out there doing that set of music for him, and he looked at me and said, "Hey, can we play this song? Can we play this song?" And some of it was just like right off the cuff. And I'm thinking to myself, this is cool. Here I am standing next to James from the band Hellstar, because when I first started playing guitar, the very first thing I got into was thrash metal. I got into like a lot of the power metal, and so it was like Hellstar, Metallica, Anthrax, all those early bands, like the early bands,
Mm-hmm.
And it was really cool. So it was a great experience. It was great fun, and most of all, it just I kind of felt like part of that movement again. Just part of that movement in general. I mean, even though people have been like, well, I had the age for it, but people said, where have you been for 25 years?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those things that's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned that you got into the thrash metal and stuff, because my son, he's just a natural-born drummer. He's 18 now. But, at one point when he really started to take it serious, he was listening to all that, really, like, demonic-sounding rock, I call it. But, it's just that really hard-hitting rock. And I asked him one day, I said, why are you listening? He said, Mom, if I can play drums to this, I can play drums to anything. And I was like, you got a point, because there is it's a real talent, and it's a unique ability to be able to play some of those, hard hitting chords and riffs and just the way it all, comes out. And for you personally, who would you consider to be some of your, your biggest inspirations in as what you do as an artist?
Who do I consider? I mean, and you know what? And honestly, it started in the late '70s, and it just kind of snowballed from there. I mean, Eddie Van Halen and Neal Schon and Brad Gillis, I'd say, were the first three. Tom Scholz from Boston was probably a big one too. I would say that as the '80s progressed, Yngwie Malmsteen and Steve Vai were probably the two big guys in the '80s until the late '80s. I really got into Jason Becker and Paul Gilbert and Tony McAlpine, Vinnie Moore, who plays for UFO now. All these guys, still have careers. I mean, it's a shame what happened to Jason Becker, but, bless his heart, he still makes amazing music.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just like all of that stuff, like all of that kind of music has just been like all these guitar players throughout the years have really like impacted me. Like I give you an example. In the '90s, when it wasn't when it was sort of uncool to play guitar solos, I kind of buckled down and started like listening to other players where the genres weren't like being made fun of, so to speak. And I didn't do that out of design. I basically did that sort of out of necessity. Like I got into Holdsworth, Shawn Lane, who's pretty much my favorite guitar player. Guys like Eric Johnson, who have this brilliant melodic touch, but at the same time they have this dazzling technique. And then I realized, like in the '90s, that I like those kinds of players that can do a little of everything. And that's so for the past like almost 15 to 20 years, those are the players I'm really still into to this day, and I've kind of molded my own style off of.
Well, when I first heard your music, I was so hopeful. I was like, God, it is so cool and refreshing to see that somebody has kind of got that style of shredded metal guitarist, feel that I feel like it's just coming back. Music kind of takes its turns and it cycles and it goes through things. But I tell you, I was almost heartbroken when that whole era of 80s hairband heavy metal rock just left because, alternative came on the scene and Nirvana happened. And, and it was like, I would love to see that kind of resurface at some point. And your style just kind of takes me back to that. And then when you talk about all the influences that have helped mold and shape who you are as a guitarist, it's so reminiscent of that era of music that was just so powerful, for so many people, artists and fans alike, really.
I agree. I mean, I'm very happy that bands like TSO still get out there. They put on a great show for people, and they bring the big sound, the lights, productions, and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I mean, not every band does that.
Right. That's so true.
And I remember like one of the best concerts I ever had the pleasure of seeing was Stryper, Loudness, and TNT. I mean, what a mixture! What a mixture that was, because they were all like sort of like B-tiered metal bands. You know what I mean? They weren't like they weren't the A-listers, but they had all the talent in the world between all those bands. You know what I mean? And it was just like, amongst the guitar players, amongst the music fans, people would have said, "Well, Slash is the best guitar player, best rock guitar player at that time." And then amongst the musicians, they were like, "Yeah, not so much." I had no disrespect to Slash. I mean, he's great for what he does. But, I mean, a lot of people, really like those bands that had that deep talent, like Racer X even. I mean, Racer X is one of my favorite bands to this day. Whitesnake was an amazing band. They were amazing live. And you know what? They're still great. I mean, I know Rhett Beach pretty well. I mean, he plays in Whitesnake, and he kills it. I mean, and the band, they sound gigantic when they play. So, I mean, it's, I do miss, those arena shows that bands like that were able to put on. Now they're playing smaller theaters and smaller venues. But the cool thing is at least they're out there doing it. So it makes me happy,
Oh, yeah. I mean, gosh.
As a fan.
Right, exactly. I mean, I feel you on that because it is one of those things that it was so popular and it had its time, but I'm glad it never completely went away because I think there's always a place for that form of rock music, always, no matter if it's big arena shows or small venues, which I think kind of on the small scale, the small venue is really a cool concept for a lot of these bands now that are out there doing it because, it's a little bit more of an intimate thing for the fans to be able to go and see them up close and personal as opposed to a big coliseum somewhere.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I just got in my email today that there's a notification tickets are going on sale for REO Speedwagon, and I was thinking, man, and it's just so many of those bands, even to this day, are still out there, even if they do the occasional concert tour. But it's so cool to see that they're still doing it, that they didn't just fade away, and that's phenomenal. So I'm excited. I'm always happy when they're coming through my area and I can get out and see them because that never gets old for me. It's like reliving it all over again, you know, especially when they play all those familiar favorites, so to speak. Now, Xander, what is on tap for you? Because 2014 has just started, and man, you, like I said, you've got such a following, and so many things have happened and are happening. What is in your plans for this year? What have you got going on?
Well, next week I'll be out in Los Angeles for the NAMM show, Anaheim, California, and I'll be playing the NAMM Metal Jam on Wednesday night at the Whiskey A Go Go with Michelangelo, Dave Reffitt, Neil Turbin from the original singer of Anthrax. I mean, there's a whole host of artists there. And then after that, I'll be heading back. Well, actually, this weekend my band and I will be in Trenton, New Jersey for the fan experience, the Trenton Freedom fan experience. We're playing that show. And then February 15th, we're off to Chicago to play with Kevin Chalfant, the first singer that actually replaced Steve Perry in Journey. We're opening for his tribute act. And then March 7th, we're opening for Metal Church. In May, we're opening for Primal Fear in Pittsburgh. So we're the funny thing is we can't. This isn't like a cover. We're not a cover band where we can go and book 8 to 12 dates a year at various clubs and stay busy that way. I used to do that with another band I was in, but now it's all original and it's our own music, and it's obviously a different brand of music. It's more progressive and heavy. So a lot of things that happen, they end up happening almost I don't want to say last minute, but they end up happening just maybe a few months out as opposed to logistically so far out in advance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very fluid and it's changing constantly.
Well, and that's not always a bad thing, because I think sometimes if you get too far out in your bookings, it's just I think sometimes it gets tedious. I know with doing the show, it's kind of that way. It's like, I wish sometimes it was just I knew what I was doing in a given week instead of 3 months down the road kind of thing.
I agree.
But, that allows you to change it up when you want and how you want, as a band and as an artist, and you're not kind of locked in to anything definitive, which I think is really cool. And it leaves the door open, too, for those unexpected opportunities that come your way that you wouldn't know about, ahead of time. So that's always cool. And new music. Are you going to be releasing any new music this year? Are you going to be cutting an album? What's on tap there?
We're releasing an EP. It's basically it's sort of a follow-up to Guitarcadia, my first album. However, the only downside to that was we were trying to get the full length album out, and as chance would have it, we just don't really have the time to get all the stuff recorded yet. So we are going to release the album. Like a full-length album this year, but it's going to be a little bit later as opposed to to the more of a winter release like we wanted. We will be releasing an EP though within about 2 months. So it'll contain 3 new vocal tracks, a remix of the title tracks from Guitarcadia, and we're going to put a couple of cover tunes on there. Basically, you know what I mean. So we're gonna put something out there for people, and then and that's it,
Well, it sounds like you've got a whole lot going on, and honestly, nowadays with the wave of social media, what it is, I mean, it almost seems taboo sometimes to put out a full-length album. There's so many bands that are just doing EPs. They're releasing a single at a time because it's allowing them to get their music out, a whole lot quicker than doing the whole full-length album concept. So, I think that's cool that you've got something that'll be coming out, and of course we will be happy to play it to death when we get it in our hands, because I love your style, and this is one of my favorite genres. Well, I do, and it just, like I said, it takes me back to that 80s hairband day, that era of just great rock when rock was at its finest, in my opinion, and I really love it. It never gets old for me. So I could sit and listen to you play for hours. And of course, I've seen all your stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, whoa, you're just phenomenal. So, so
thank
definitely,
you. Well, in other words, I got to
you
put
guys,
more stuff out then, right?
well, if you guys get to the Carolinas, I'm in North Carolina, but if you ever get to this part of the world, hey, I'd love to know so I can get out to see you guys perform. I imagine you put on one heck of a show.
Oh, we try to. We try to be entertaining. One of the things a lot of people, especially like the people that know us technically, they always ask, well, what's different? Like, I've heard some of your stuff, and it has sort of like a Queensryche or Dream Theater kind of flair to it, which is, a compliment. But we do something that's very different that those guys don't do, and we have, 3 guys in the band that are basically able to sing lead vocals. And
wow.
So one of the things that we do is we do like a lot of harmonies and stuff like that. So like our sound is bigger. You know what I mean? Like it just sounds it just sounds big. I mean I'm not saying like that we're bigger than Queensryche or Dream Theater, not at all. What I'm saying is vocally we put more out there. I mean because Queensryche has legendary vocalists. Between Jeff Tate and the new Todd Torrey. And James LeBray, he's been the vocalist for Dream Theater for going on 20 years or over 20 years now. And all those guys are amazing, but they don't do like a lot of intricate harmonies, a lot of Journey style harmonies and things like that. So it's a little bit different, So we kind of fuse those real pretty harmonies with with that progressive hard rock sound.
Hey, look, hard rock is good music. I don't care how it's sung, really, because it's just off the chain good, and I don't think you could mess it up if you tried. I've always said there's so much creativity in heavy metal and rock music, unlike other genres, because you've got 2 or 3 people that may sing, and you've got those abilities to blend those harmonies, but yet for where you may lack in any area, I mean, the instrumentation and the musicianship just makes up for it, So it's really the beauty of it that you can't always find showcased in, other genres of music. So it really is unique in its own way. And I really hope you guys get to the East Coast and I can get out to see you, and would love to, because I know you put on a heck of a show, and definitely one to watch. So, but here on our show, I am right kind of in the dead center. I'm between Raleigh and Greensboro.
Okay.
Yeah. So
if there's any places for us to play, I mean, we'll look around to see if we can jump on like an opening gig with somebody or something similar to that.
Oh yeah, well that would be awesome.
And we'll get down your way.
Oh, that would be awesome, and I would make a point to come out and see you for sure. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen for you this year. I'm very excited. It sounds like you've got a lot of stuff going on, and plenty of great things to come. Can't wait for the EP to come out, any singles, and we will do all we can to promote and play the heck out of it for you, because you definitely are someone that needs to be heard, and obviously as many fans as you have, that is pretty evident. So love to have you back anytime that you have.
I'd be glad to come back.
Love to have you back, and it's been such a pleasure speaking with you about your career and all the exciting things that you've got going on.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I've enjoyed talking to you as well.
Oh, well, thank you, and take care, and best of luck to you and the band. Tell the guys hello from us, and I'm sure we'll be in touch with you again very soon.
Sounds good.
All right, Xander. Take care and have a great night.
You too. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have been speaking with Xander Demos, and I must tell you, he is, or Demos, I should say. I apologize. I cannot get that last name right. I do that every now and again, and I hate when I do that. But in any event, what a cool guy. He is such a cool guy, and if you've never heard his talent and his playing ability, I'm going to give you a couple opportunities to do so here momentarily. But first, I want to give you all of his logistical info so you can find out where to follow him and stay up on what he's doing. It's XanderDemos.com, and Demos is spelled just like Demos, Demos. Xander XanderDemos.com, and there his website is just chock full of all kinds of great information. You can also follow him on Facebook. You can go like his page at Xander Demos Music, and also on Twitter he is at Xander Demos. So any one of those you can keep up with him, and I'm telling you, he's got quite a following and legion of fans there, and has played. I mean, you got to go check out his bio and check out some of the people that he's played with, studied under some of his influences as far as, that have kind of helped build the individual sound that he's created for himself, and it's just absolutely off the chain good. And if you grew up in the 80s like I did and you loved 80s hairband rock, you're going to love Xander because he is spot on. So before we close our show, I want to play a couple of tunes off of his last release, and the first one will be entitled Under a Darkened Sky, followed by his hit that has received so much praise and feedback and over 100,000 views on YouTube, entitled White Knuckle Driving. Take a listen. Wow. Don't worry, folks. Your computers are not smoking. They're not on fire. They could be. It was just Xander Demos playing the hell out of a guitar, and quite exceptionally talented, and love his sound. One of my favorite eras of music, and I love that his band has brought back some of that sound. And, as I was listening to those tracks there, he has a little bit of a Ronnie Dio kind of feel too, and very, very incredibly talented guys. So if they're in your area, check out his website and find out when he's going to be in your area and go check him out. And I hope they come to North Carolina so I can do the same. Very, very talented. So we want to give a huge shout-out and thank you to Xander for being our special guest this evening, and many, many thanks to all of you for tuning in. And if you're a first-time listener, thank you so much for tuning in tonight and joining us and giving us a shot. Hope that it won't be your last time here. As a matter of fact, we've got a great band coming on Tuesday, the 21st. We have an indie hard rock band, heavy metal band. They're called The Taking, and I believe they're from Texas, but they are off the chain. They've got a 4-song EP out, which we've been featuring here on our show and on our Indie Artist Showcase, and it's getting lots of great feedback and massive reviews. So the guys from The Taking will be with us at 7 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday, January 21st, so you'll want to be here for that, especially if you're a Taking fan. So that is going to wrap our show for this evening, folks. Thank you so much again to Xander Demos for being our special guest, and many thanks to all of you as well for joining us. And with that, have a great night for Jammin' Jukebox Radio Show. I am your host, DJ Delta Dawn, bidding you farewell, God bless, and we'll see you again real soon. Take care, all. Good night.
Thanks for listening to tonight's show. You can connect with Jammin' Jukebox Radio Show on Twitter at Jammin' Jukebox or on Facebook at Jammin' Jukebox Radio Show. Check out our website at thejamminjukebox.com. Also, follow us on Blog Talk, where you will be always up to date on every episode as we add it. Each episode is available for immediate download upon the conclusion of each broadcast, and as always, on iTunes. Thank you for joining us. Thanks.